Welcome to the How to Heal podcast, the show where we explore real life stories and practical tools to thrive. I'm your host, Lindsay Tremarky Richter, and through over a 15-year journey of all things healing, I'm here to hook it up. If you're feeling overwhelmed, looking for a deeper connection, or straight up in a psycho-spiritual crisis, I got you covered. Let's unearth your unique elixir to purpose, peace, and progress. Here we go. So, everybody, I am so excited to introduce today's guest. You were the second guest of our podcast. So,
Yay!
I'm just so excited to introduce you guys to her. I've actually put out a couple of teasers about you coming on. So people who are listening are eagerly awaiting this conversation. But just as a quick note about who Amy is, Amy B. Scher is an energy therapist and an expert in mind-body healing and the best-selling author of the wildly popular How to Heal Yourself series. That book has been translated in over 20 languages. So Amy helps people break through blocks to become their happiest, healthiest, and most fearless selves, and has been featured in Oprah Daily, CNN, CBS, Washington Post, Cosmopolitan, and Good Morning America, and more. She lives in New York City with her beautiful wife and bad cat, where they are always searching for the next best meal or watching another episode of Golden Girls for the 1,000th time. Love it. Amy can be found at amybscher, SCHER.com. I'll put it in the show notes. So I have two questions right off the bat. Number
Yes.
one, what is your cat's name?
His name is Stanley, like in the Golden Girls.
And number two, I didn't know that. And number two, what is your favorite like quintessential New York City restaurant? Not like a new restaurant, like an that's been there forever. Do you live in the East Village?
No, we live on the Upper West Side.
Okay. So anyway, because I feel like when we worked together, I was always in the East Village, so I
That's
associate with the
funny.
East Village. What is your quintessential New York City dining
Oh
spot?
my gosh, that's such a hard one. I don't think anyone's ever asked me. I don't think
What about like a
anyone's.
Greasy Spoon or like even a bagel spot?
Yeah, I love Broad Notch bagels. That's like our go-to bagels on Saturday. Broad
Where
Notch
is it?
bagels. There's several of them, but there's one close to Columbus Circle where we live, which
Okay,
is
nice.
great and is great because it's so close we can get bagels anytime. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many good restaurants. I know this is touristy, but also I love Katz's Deli. Like I
Oh
still
yeah.
once a year we go, we wait in the long line. It's ridiculous, and then we leave and say, "Oh my gosh, that was so worth it again." So we have so many restaurants we love, but that one is like we go once a year because it's just like you have to have the experience along with
Yeah.
the food.
Yeah. Well, I also love like East Village, Lower East Side, Katz's and Lower East Side. I love
Yes.
that like grungy
Yeah.
vibe. My
Yeah.
like one of a go-to restaurant for me on the lower in the East Village. I used to go to when I first moved into the city is called B&H. It's actually a kosher deli.
Yeah.
And it's right on Second Avenue in St. Mark's on Second Avenue, and they have the
Yeah.
best borscht soup, and like this like Polish woman makes all of these homemade soups, and it's amazing. But anyway,
Yum.
just I wanted to just talk about New York City because I miss New York. I'm living on Long Island now, and I miss New York.
A, a different world, I know.
So listen, I am so awkward reading your bio. I'm gonna tell everybody what's up about you
Okay, go for it.
because
Go
I
for it.
I actually picked up Amy's book in 2016 on Quest Bookshop on 53rd between 2nd and 3rd. I saw it just like propped up. It was like someone read it and liked it and like clearly like was propping it. Like I don't even know that bookshop. I listened to the audiobook. I always poke fun at you because you're like, oh my God, that was the first audiobook that I did and I didn't read it. It was like this, I don't know if it
It
was
was
a
a
robot.
Canadian woman, and people still email me and go, I didn't understand what she said and on page whatever. And I'm like, I've never been able to listen to it. It's the
So anyway,
only
I
audiobook
got
I
through it
didn't.
because the book itself, the contents of the book, there was How to Heal Yourself When No One Else Can. The first book, the contents of the book is amazing. It gives
Thank you.
it gives you like the background of who you are, why you were healing, your story around how you were healing, the symptoms you had of Lyme's disease, and like the lows. You talk about your family, you talk about all the
Yeah.
tools. It's really like the encyclopedia of like your healing style.
Yeah.
So after I finished it, I was like, how do I work with Amy? And I got to work with you. And I remember getting the homework. We like worked in I don't think you work like this anymore with people where it's like very sporadic when you do, but like we had like a few sessions where I would
Yeah.
you would feel in, you would give me the homework and then I would go and do it. And
Yeah.
I was working at Wawa at the time. I just left Starbucks and I started working at Wawa. So I would like drive to Pennsylvania and then be in the office and then working out of this like really cool park. And I was just like doing all of this homework and taking it so seriously. And the reason I tell this story is because in 2023, we had our first one-on-one session that we had since 2017.
Yeah.
And you were like, Lindsay, you really did like a lot of work. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe how much work you did because I did take it so seriously. And I left that meeting with you, opened the conference door. I was in this little cube in my office, walked into the next meeting and proceeded to get laid off. One of the first people to get laid off out of a 200-person layoff. And it was just like shocking because at that time, I was looking up at the screen. The SVP was on the screen laying me off. And I, at the same time, I was like, this cannot be happening. And then on the
Yeah.
other side of me was like, congratulations, you graduated.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You had done all the work to probably really move on to the next
It
phase of
was
your
just so
life,
funny
right?
that we had had that meeting
Oh
like
my gosh, that's
before. You're like, you did all
wild.
the work.
Yeah, that's
So,
wild.
so yeah. So, so listen, Amy is literally, you are the cheat sheet. You are, and Amy is a
Thank you.
Virgo. So Amy does all the work. Prolific, everything, always doing the work. But Amy is, I'm not just saying this, guys, I'm saying I'm bringing her on because I feel like we need to talk about simplifying healing. And I think a lot of us are like, oh, we need to go to a shaman. And I've been to so many shamans where, not so many, I've been to a shaman where I'm just like, I don't know what you're doing and I don't know what you're healing. And, you use some elements, some water, but I don't know what happened or what, and
Yeah.
this type of healing, I just want to distinguish also the energy healing from the spiritual healing. This is straight up emotional. I'm sorry, emotional healing versus spiritual healing. This is emotional healing because the way I break down my podcast is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Mm,
So we're talking about emotional healing here. It's also plays into the core energetics of it all because you work with energy, but just this distinguish because I think that like a lot of people are going to healers, it's ambiguous as to what they're healing. But with
yeah.
you, it's very simple. So, number one, I guess one of the biggest questions I've always had for you and I've always thought is like, how did you learn how to like tap in? When did you start getting confirmation within yourself, knowing like, yeah, I can actually tell this person to do this and it's going to work?
Yeah. So for a long time, so my own healing journey was very long and very arduous. I had done all the medical treatments and was not able to get fully well and stay fully well. And so all of the work that I created is from me trying to figure it out for myself. And I started once I healed completely from doing the emotional work, from doing the energy work, from using the techniques I created. Once I healed, I started by just going to support groups. I started just talking to people. People would hear about my story and write to me. So I didn't at first jump into starting a business. In fact, I didn't have any dreams of being in healing work at all. I was a marketing director for Harley Davidson when I got sick. And I thought I was going to go back to marketing. Like I had no thought of like, oh, I want to do this thing where I help people. Um, but as I was sharing my story and the missing piece of my healing, which is the emotional part, which is really tending to who we are, instead of what symptoms we have, people started to really listen and want more information. It was like at that time, and I still don't feel like it's out there in all the right ways, but at that time, it was sort of a revolutionary concept. Like so many people did not accept what I was saying, that our emotions could actually have such a big impact on our physical body. But some people were like, oh my God, I
What
heard
year
you.
was this?
This was like in 2012, probably, like way back when nobody was talking about this. I mean, now my primary source of referrals to my work is doctors, like straight up medical doctors, not even like naturopaths or integrated, but just like doctors. But when I figured this out, it was a decade before anybody was real, like before this was mainstream, that like your emotions have an impact on you physically, spiritually, emotionally, like all the ways. Um, so at first I just started talking to people, and the feedback from others, those who resonated with it, is what encouraged me to teach people exactly what I did. So I never really had the dream of like helping everybody with what I did, like except for like maybe inspiring them to know that they could heal too, right? Like that it's possible. Um, because I really went from like my deathbed and I was in a wheelchair for a little while to like who I am today. And I'm like fine. I haven't had any symptoms for many years. So so what happened though was people were like, well, how do you do it? I've been going to therapy for 20 years. I've been talking, I've been like journaling, I've been like saying my affirmations. And so I felt like it was really important to tell people that that's not the kind of healing that healed me. Like my dad was a therapist and that didn't heal me. I journaled. I have like boxes of journals. That didn't heal me. It's really looking deeper than how I'm feeling. It's really looking deeper. It's really asking, who am I at a soul level and what am I not getting? What am I still carrying? What am I holding myself back from? So while it is emotional healing, I do think there's a spiritual component to it because you are having to discover who you are deep inside and what you need. It's not just checking off, I said my affirmations today. I journaled. I go to therapy once a week, and that's what I'm seeing people do to emotionally heal, which makes sense. That's what I did to emotionally heal. And then I just realized, no, there's a part of emotional healing that only you can get to. Only you. No therapist, no ashwagandha, no magnesia, not the best chilled out magnesium supplement. Only you.
Right. So exactly. I have a note to come to this, but we're talking about it now. But I'll tell you, like, do you think that you would have been able to get to your emotional healing parts without doing the other things first? Without doing the journaling, without doing the mental self-reflection, without doing the mindset, without taking care of yourself? Do you think you would have gotten to the emotional part?
No, because I thought I was getting to the emotional part. So I think I needed to see at some point that I wasn't getting to the emotional part in the way that I needed. Not to say journaling is not helpful, not to say therapy is not helpful. Those are all great things. But I don't think those things always help us understand how to change the patterns that aren't working for us. And that's where some of the tools that I ended up using and creating help because it gets to reprogramming the subconscious mind. It gets to helping you really shift out of old patterns like people pleasing and perfectionism. And those are the things that put emotional stress on us. Yes, trauma is one of them. And in all my books, I talk about trauma.
Right.
But we have such a trauma informed society now. Everybody's talking about trauma, and people aren't getting better because talking about your trauma doesn't heal trauma.
Right.
And I was stuck in that place too. I was going to therapy and I knew everything that ever happened to me and everything that was ever wrong, and yet nothing was getting better because it's almost like this piece that you have to get to is deeper than anyone can take you to, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah,
it's just a
no.
little bit of a soul search. It's a little
Yeah,
bit of
no,
a
I
soul
get it.
search.
So like I talked about it, intellectualizing emotions is what we're talking about here. Like going to the therapist and being like, yeah, I know this happened to me. And like being like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm doing the homework because I'm going to talking about it in
Yeah.
therapy. You can't go to the doctor and have the doctor cry for you. You have to cry yourself.
Yes. Yes.
So
The doctor can't answer the questions for you that you can answer for yourself. Where is fear standing in my way? What toxic relationships do I need to get out of? What have I been lying to myself about? What's not true for my life anymore that's putting a burden on my body that I need to figure out a way to change? Like your doctor, I mean, I remember I had this doctor that I was so pissed off at, a Lyme disease doctor, who once asked me when I was really, really sick, like, so what's going on in your relationship? Like anything, like, are you happy? And I was just like, yeah, everything's fine. Thank you for asking and F you very much. Like, can you also tell me why, like, I have like parasites and Lyme disease and blah, blah, blah. And years later, I got what he was asking, which is not really what's going on in your relationship, but
Yeah, but you
is
can't
there
ask.
something else?
Yeah, I get
It
it.
was,
I get
I
it.
was
No, 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 I
mad at
get
the
it. But
time,
you
but
can only lead a horse to water. The horse
right,
needs to get thirsty along the way. And that's what
right.
I'm saying about like
Yeah,
doing all the self-reflection and getting to the point where you're like, this isn't working. Actually, you do need to look at
yeah,
something
yeah.
else.
And years later, I was like, oh, wait. Like literally years later, I was like, I remembered what he had asked me, and I was like, oh my God, I think that is a thing. I mean, I think it was like 3 years later. So it was like, you know what I mean?
That happens.
But I was like, oh, I just had this feeling like, oh, this is not just my physical symptoms. This is something, this is the way my life, this is the the terrain of my life. There's
Yeah.
something in the terrain of my life and my soul that is driving some of this. Not that the physical is not real, but it's not all of it.
Right, right. So honestly, this conversation is going in a different direct, a very expansive direction where I'm like, I could take this in so many different ways. So let's talk about self-healing. I talk about self-healing and making sure that you're doing the work and that you're doing the healing. And I
Yeah.
came to you and you gave me the homework and I was like, great, I'm gonna do. And when you gave, you're like, check around this age, around what this feeling around this age. And it didn't really like need to know the whole story, but it felt right. Because like what I wanted to describe you as was like the sort of acupuncture needle that you like put
Yeah.
in the exact spot that you need.
Yeah.
And it's like it like disperses all the energy and relaxes you.
Yeah.
You don't know why it's in that, but it just you just know that it's working.
Yeah.
How do we do that for ourselves?
It's so hard because my job is literally to tune into other people's energy and just know because my intuition does this for me. But like, right, there's something like I'm picking up on something that happened at age 14 that's stuck in this area of your body. Like, do you know what that is?
That's right.
So like I point people in that direction.
Right.
So like when I have people do this for themselves, because as you know, like twice a year I open to private sessions, maybe twice a year now. So I don't do it very often. But like when I have people do this for themselves, I ask them like, what do you think you've been ignoring? That is where the thing usually is. Not like, what do you think traumatized you? What are your thought patterns? But like, what do you think you've been ignoring? What do you think? What do you
As you're talking, I'm like, I'm going to sign up for your next open one-on-one enrollment.
Yes, yes, yes. Because that's where the healing is. It's not the stuff you know about and you talk about and you tell all your friends about. Like I'm a perfectionist maybe.
Right.
But what are you ignoring? The fact that if I'm not perfect, I'm afraid I'll lose everybody around me. Or am I ignoring that I'm in a toxic relationship and it's not just the toxic relationship that's the problem, it's that I don't value myself enough or I'm not brave enough or I don't feel like I'm safe enough to leave.
Right.
So it's like, what's the thing here it is. It's what's the thing you're trying to dance around? Like everyone happily goes and talks to their therapist every week. What wouldn't you tell your therapist?
Right.
What's the thing that
Well,
you've been sort of hiding from yourself even? And
right.
it takes thought because a lot of times we bury our own truth so far down that like it's not easily accessible. So it sometimes takes like just talking to your body and like, tell me the thing, tell me the thing or things that I haven't dealt with yet. Tell me the things I'm too afraid to know about myself. And it's never anything scary like this crazy thing happened that you've suppressed and you don't remember. I've never had that happen. It's always like, I'm not in love with this person I'm with anymore. Or it's like this wasn't the life I expected for myself. Or like whatever it is, energetically, the grief of that, the trauma of it, the pattern of it, the whatever of it can be released from your body. So you're in a better place to shift the actual thing in your life.
Yeah, because what I was thinking was like when you have these, there are just levels and levels of healing. So
Yes, totally.
like so we get to the point where we're healing an emotional block.
Yes.
And then we're like, oh, I feel so much better. Now I can actually access this other emotion that I've been hiding from.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yes.
and it's a constant thing. And I think people get like overwhelmed with it. So that actually that's what I was gonna ask you before was like, how are you confident enough to say I'm healed?
I mean, for me, like I have reached a point in my life where I live without physical symptoms, but also I'm a more relaxed, happy, content, confident version of myself. So like I'm healed in the way where like I'm not afraid that I'm going to get sick again. I'm healed in the way where like sometimes I screw up and like binge eat pizza, like gluten and sugar. I'm healed in the way that I'm not so hard on myself, that I don't beat myself up in the same way. I'm healed in the way that I can rest and not push when I need to. I'm healed in the way where I would not go back to some of the same relationships and patterns that I used to be. The absence of physical symptoms for me is really big because I really had a debilitating chronic condition for 10 years. But in the quest to be symptom free, the rest of me healed. And that's what I think the journey is. We're all on a mission to heal the physical, but you can't divert. You have to go through the emotional. So now I am without physical symptoms and also a happier, healthier person inside. And I think the way to do that without getting overwhelmed is just to follow the breadcrumbs of where you're led. So you can't make a plan for healing. I remember even when I started my private practice where I saw clients and I had three offices in California. It was completely ridiculous. But I had one in Southern California, one in Central California, and then one in Northern California. And I would fly back and forth to all those offices and see. It was when I saw clients in person. And I remember when I first started my practice, it was like completely booked from day one because like everyone wanted this help. And I made like I was trying to take what I did and put it in a formula. And like where would I start with someone? And then what would I do next? And what would I do next? And I think it was like a couple weeks into my practice where I was like, oh my gosh, that's not how it works. Like I can't, I can there it's not formulaic. So when I would see a client, it would just come up that like, oh, for them, we need to start with nervous system. For someone else, we would start with something like a trauma that I felt from like when they were two. For someone else, it would just start with something simple like this deep core belief that they're not good enough. And so everyone has their own path. And when I say their own path, I mean their path is laid out in a way that's not like anybody else's. So you can almost trust that even though you don't know what you're doing, you'll be led there. You just do the thing that's in front of you and then you ask yourself, what do I need to do next? Where do I need to go next? And my books have all the ideas. It's not like you have to know. Like my books, my YouTube videos, my membership, like
YouTube
I'm
video,
telling
100%.
you,
Yeah,
I'm telling you all the things. You just go wherever you're led. And eventually on your windy path, you will end up where you're supposed to be. There is no order,
right.
which is frustrating for perfectionists who like want to check things off the list. But also it's amazing because you can't go wrong. Like everybody's order is different and it's all fine. You get all roads lead to the same place.
Right. It's interesting because I'm part of Amy's collective called the Fearless Living Collective. And the reason that what you're saying is interesting is because this month we're addressing nervous system.
Yes.
And I think exactly what this is like literally the root of what you're talking about is like when
Yeah.
your nervous system is scared,
Yeah.
you can't pay attention to what you can't relax into the next thing you need to do.
No, no, you
You're
can't.
bugging
You can't.
out. You don't feel it.
Yeah.
You're just trying to, you're hyper vigilant, right? Which, and I talked about that in our
Yeah.
last episode. Like what that means is just like you're always trying to clean something up in fear of the other shoe dropping.
Yes.
And getting to the point, that's why it was so awesome doing the emotional work because it felt like a burden just was lifted off. And I was like, I could breathe a little later. Number one, because I know I did the work for myself. Number two,
Yes.
it felt right when I was doing it because even though I didn't come up with it myself, actually, like I did know that I had X, Y, and Z emotion from this
Yeah.
age that I needed to just release. And number three, I did the physical healing. So, like,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about some tools for everybody to take with them at the end of the episode so that you can easily just sort of without reading Amy's book, have a tool in your pocket, you know. So you're writing two books right now, aren't you?
I'm writing two books right now, which is like a total crash, like not supposed to happen, but whatever. I just decided. So my two book deadlines intersected, which is insane because writing one book is like a labor of love. Like I can't even tell you.
Right,
But two books is kind of insanity to be doing. But that's how it happened that I had two book deadlines. It didn't work out like I meant for it to work out. And
right.
then I just decided, okay, you know what? This is how it is. Instead of complaining, instead of stressing, instead of talking a lot about how horrible this is to all
Just
my
embrace
friends and
it.
my authors and my wife, I'm just going to do it. It's just going to be fine. I'm just going to do it. So I'm just like, I'm just doing it. Whether
Good.
it's, yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm just making the
Yeah.
energy around it lighter because that's what's going to help me. That's what's
Exactly.
going to help me. You just got to
Exactly.
lighten up a little bit. You have to.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Just like we don't need to delve into the really heavy emotions. I actually wrote this whole bio for me that I wanted to read for you, and we keep coming back to this bio of just the fact that the reason I love Amy's work is because she's so down to earth and approachable, but she simplifies the feeling around healing. It's not this
Yes.
heavy emotional thing. It's like, oh, it's actually like really straightforward and simple. It's not this heavy, scary emotional thing that we need to worry about and cry it out. We can just see it, address it, and release it. And
Yeah.
that's why I've always, since we've worked together, I always link your EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. It's a tapping acupressure meridians and sort of talk therapy, acupressure healing modality,
It's a
let's
mix of everything. Yeah. It's a mix
yeah.
of everything.
But it's like it's just you make it so simple.
Thank you. And I had to do that. The reason it's so simple for me and that I simplify everything for everyone is because when I was healing, when I was sick, everything seemed so complex. Every book I read, every modality I looked at was
Serious.
like hours a day, so serious, so heavy, so spiritual. And for me, I couldn't do it. Like where I was and where I am now in terms of where I teach is we all have stuff. We all have emotional baggage. It's weighing us down. It's burying our true self. And when we get to that true self and we meet that person, we become happy and healthy. We're aligned with it.
Yeah.
So let's just clear our stuff. Let's not analyze it. Let's not feel shame about it. Let's not make a huge deal about it. Let's just do the thing. And if along the way we're having a bad day, we feel bad, we need to stay in bed, let's just feel bad and stay in bed. Let's not make everything, let's not put more on the thing that
Keep
already
adding,
sucks.
like adding to the camel, adding to the camel.
Adding to the camel. Let's just let it be what it is. Sometimes it's sucky, sometimes we're excited, sometimes we're feeling better. Let's just clear the stuff in an effort to move forward.
Right.
Let's
So
not make it bigger than it needs to be.
I talk about physical, and the first episode I put out is called Less is Mas. The funny thing about this podcast and the thoughts behind of healing is that they all play together. So the physical plays with the mental.
Yes.
So it's literally, I can be talking about the mental stuff in the physical episode because it's the same thing.
Yeah,
And
it's
what you're talking
interconnected.
about is decluttering, like
Yes.
literally decluttering. Like,
Which is so funny because membership, one of the monthly themes of membership, I don't know if you saw it, is decluttering
yeah,
because people don't realize that that is essentially you're letting go of what no longer serves you, whether it's physical baggage, emotional baggage. It's all of it though.
space. It
When
takes up
you
space.
yeah, and energy. It takes a bandwidth in your life, and that
Right.
energy could be going to your physical organs, to your muscles, to your glands, to your immune system, to your nervous
Yes,
system.
yes, yes, that free flowing energy. So I just wanted to talk about one of the episodes that you were on Sounds True. I think you
Yeah.
published your book with them,
Yeah, one of my books is with
How to
them.
Heal from Depression. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I listened to it, and you say that modern medicine is advancing, but depression is increasing. And why? Because you
Yeah.
talk about how depression is more than like a biological glitch, which is infuriating, which is literally what we started this podcast with. Is that like it's not all physical? Why do you think the depression is increasing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a world where we look at a problem, we're looking for the solution, we apply solution to the problem, and I don't think that the problem that we're seeing the whole problem. So I think as true it's true for depression, what's true for chronic illness, which is sort of where I started specializing in because that's where I came from, which is that it's not all as it seems. There is a component to it. Even if your blood tests show that you have Lyme disease, that you have, kidney issues, that you have thyroid issues, that is all real. So even if your tests show that you have low serotonin or high cortisol, all the things that can contribute to depression, that doesn't mean that that's the entire problem. This was what I came to for myself. if you find a problem and you apply the solution and the problem doesn't go away, that wasn't the only problem. So if your doctor tells you you need a serotonin uptake inhibitor and they give you that and you don't feel better, then your serotonin isn't your only problem. And with depression, I think that's part of why it's getting worse is that we're excelling in medication and new medications and studies. But again, we're missing the soul piece. What is the person missing inside? What is literally depressed inside of them, suppressed, depressed? What are they pushing down? You can give all the serotonin uptake inhibitors in the world, and it doesn't reach that piece. So the treatments and the medications can't reach what the patient can reach. And that's why doctors send people to me is because they do that. They give medication and then they know, okay, well, this person's liver enzymes are off, or this person's kidney numbers are off, or this person has whatever blood work or MRI, and I'm giving them the thing that should work, but it's not working. And so they send them to me. And once we do the emotional piece, like their blood work, like these doctors are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what you did, but now the liver medication's working. Now the MRI is showing improvement. So it's not that the thing that your doctor's telling you is happening isn't real. It is. It's real. But there's also something else that's real that must be addressed in order to fully heal.
So 12-year-old Lindsay, depressed 12-year-old Lindsay is completely different than depressed 24-year-old Lindsay.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing that Amy put out, and I attended a workshop, and by the way, her workshops are all low cost. So go to her website because when she offers a
Yeah.
workshop, it's like, I don't know, 20, $30, like, and you get
Yeah.
to play flat.
Yeah. So
So,
accessible.
so there's so many things I want to say, and it's so annoying. So what I want to finish is this. The workshop that I took with the woman that you're talking
Yeah,
about,
Jen. Her name is Jen. Yeah.
this was a workshop to heal yourself and your kids.
Yeah. She
My extra
specializes in
little
moms and
one.
kids.
So
Yeah.
that was awesome, number one. Number two, I want to talk about just that the initial when your brain isn't fully developed, you can't ask yourself the question because as we're talking about the how to heal yourself from depression, the question almost feels like, where are you selling out?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
where are you selling out? And you
Yeah.
can't ask 12-year-old Lindsay where you're selling out because
No.
12-year-old Lindsay's not selling out.
Yeah.
12-year-old Lindsay isn't getting a need met.
Yeah. Or
When you're an
protecting
adult
herself.
and your
Yeah.
brain is fully formulated and you're making decisions independently on your own, it's just
Yeah.
it's so interesting. There's just like a plethora of people who need a plethora of healing, and it's
Yeah.
not one size fits all, but there is a common thread here.
Yeah. You can ask though a 12-year-old, what are you most afraid of? And getting to somebody's fear that someone's going to be mad at them, that they're going to be rejected at school. I mean, you can ask the same question in different ways and you can get to the same place. You can ask a 5-year-old. I mean, so you won't pose it the same way, but you can definitely get to what it is. I mean, essentially the question, right, where are you selling out? And also, where is fear standing in your way? And really what we're trying to get everybody to is to be their true self. Their unfiltered self, because that's the biggest block. Now, that can be blocked because of trauma. That can be blocked because of beliefs. That can be blocked because your nervous system's stuck in fight, flight, or freeze. All of those things get covered in my process of emotional healing. But what we're trying to get people to pay attention to is the person inside, the person inside that's just crying to come out. That and it's just buried under all this crap.
It just needs to be shined and cleaned. For me,
Yes,
like
yes,
I didn't have the confidence ability, like I didn't have the um I was too scared to do what I really wanted to do, but I was
yes,
also too scared to even I was also too overwhelmed to even look at what I wanted to do, to even
yeah,
identify what I wanted to do.
yes. And that's why I tell people telling yourself the truth and knowing is different than having to take action. The first step in healing is right, where am I selling out? What am I hiding? Where is fear standing in my way? Let's just ask the question with no pressure. about having to do something about it, because that's one of the reasons people hide it from themselves. Is if I admit that I'm in this toxic relationship, or I admit that I am not leading the life I want, then I'm going to have to do something about it. And I'm too afraid to do something about it.
Or
So
they assume
I
what the thing they need to do is may not be the thing that they actually need to do. They may
Exactly. You don't
feel,
always have,
right,
yeah, you don't always have to switch jobs. You don't always, you have to
exactly.
heal the thing that's being called to heal. And sometimes the thing you see that's not right in your life is just part of the healing. It doesn't mean you need to
Right,
like get up and sell your house and move to your dream destination. Like most people, I say, don't need to turn their life upside down unless you're in date, like unless you really need to get out of a scary relationship. But like most people don't need to like burn the house down in order to like, you know, become who they need to be. Most people just need to see where those areas are that need to be healed. And that means, you know, is your job miserable because you put all your value on being perfect and taking care of everybody else at work and making sure everything's done? Well, maybe you don't need to leave your job. Maybe we need to help you heal the parts of you that believe that you have to hold it all together for everybody else. And maybe if we healed that part of you, your job would be perfectly fine because you wouldn't be in it the same way. And so that's what we're doing is where am I selling out? Where am I living in fear? Where am I not being my truest, most relaxed self? And then let's heal the inside of us and see if one, that either changes the external, or two, gives us courage to make actually changes in our life that we need to.
right, right,
But it's not as scary or big as it seems. I always tell people, let's talk about what's going on and let's just agree we're not going to make you do anything scary right now. We're just going to know what we know and just leave that there for a minute. And we do it in baby steps.
right. I remember, and I'm going to be really vulnerable here. I may even take this out of the podcast, but I remember being with my therapist and making a deal and saying, no matter what, the deal is I never go to the hospital again.
Mm,
And just like you, I had mental health issues where I'm not fearful that I'm ever going to be in a position where I'm going to lose my mind again.
yeah.
I straight up my parents didn't know if I was coming back.
Yeah.
So, and everyone has their sort of their own unique healing story, which is just so interesting and fun and like cool about life, but also a little bit infuriating. Like
Yeah.
when you want to like system, like put a
I
system
know
thing
you want
and
to
roll it
system.
out, it's not because
I know.
everybody's looking at it differently. But
Yeah.
when we just talk about knowing yourself, knowing you're not, a lot of people don't even deal with this level of needing to heal,
Yeah.
right? So like, but I guess this, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe we just need to heal incrementally little things. Maybe
Yeah.
this is
Incremental.
totally screwed up, but like let's be open to changing mentalities, changing the way we do things. And that way our whole society can just move incrementally because
Yeah.
right now we're
Yeah.
at a place where it's not the super sick. It's not just the super sick people. It's like the people that are in the middle that
Yeah. Yeah.
don't
In
want to move
between
because
too.
they're
Yeah.
comfortable. So
Yeah.
like let's just get a little uncomfortable to just get to our next level of growth incrementally.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be big or epic or scary. It has to be, I mean, even with some people, it's like just getting them to shift the belief that I have to be responsible for everybody else. That doesn't require anything except an internal shift. It's these old patterns and ways of being that simply we've grown out of. And it hurts the body when the body has outgrown something that we have been practicing over and over. And
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. And then this also plays into food. It's like you have to eat this and you have to eat that. And it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's not the route. Like the structure will get you only certain far, and then you have to reevaluate the structure and then go in the different. That's what we were talking about with like healing the nervous system, so that
Yeah.
you can just like take it piecemeal and like go with the flow.
Yeah, and we're talking about that too in membership. There's like a huge conversation around like all these different like brain retraining programs for nervous system, and people are asking me, "What do you think?" Like when I was sick, none of that was around, and I healed my nervous system because there's so many ways to do it, and the regimented way doesn't always work for people because it feels stressful. The way to do it is to find the thing that helps you be most relaxed in yourself
Right. So,
and
and
do that.
I talk about this, and this is like flow state essentially. And like in my
Yeah.
spiritual pillar, just accessing the flow state and
Yes.
being able to just be your most authentic self and be prolific in that self, whatever it is, even if it's filing paperwork. It's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like a space of I feel really good doing this, and I'm just going to continue to do it for like an hour
Yeah.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But we haven't really spoken about the container. I think the container is just so interesting. I think I'm going back to the bio of Amy. Just like Amy, when you sit in a group with Amy, you're like, how much am I really going to get out of this? If it's not one-on-one, how much am I really going to get out of this? And I literally sit with Amy in replays of our collective, our Fearless Living Collective group in a replay. And I am like, holy shit. This is meant for me. I know this is
Yeah.
only meant for me. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
this is
yeah.
meant for me and me alone. Like, there's no way that everyone is dealing with this issue. But somehow you
Mm.
put that needle on the nerve, the acupuncture, where it's like you get it and you really
Yeah.
tap in. And that's why like the group has just been amazing because I feel like I have this like continual just incremental healing in my back pocket that I go to every week that I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this video. I'm going to tap. And I do want to just talk about your new focus is helping people have more self-trust, self-love, tapping into
Yeah.
the intuition, taking risks, and number one, not letting fear stand in the way. And
Yeah.
pulling us back, this is actually going to make me cry, pulling us back into old versions of ourselves.
Yes.
Like when I got sick, it was because I wasn't eating healthily, I wasn't sleeping healthily, I wasn't doing the thing I wanted to do, I wasn't paying attention to my urges. I was just tunnel vision looking for $1 million by the time I was 30.
Yeah.
And I was living in the city, picking up everyone's junk energetically, didn't have energetic hygiene like the way I do now, like energetic hygiene the way I do now. And it was just so overwhelming. It was also part of my healing journey. I also needed to go through that experience
Yeah.
so that I could explain how to help people in this healing journey.
Yeah.
So there was a moment in time where I was like, it's black and white. It's black and white. It's this version or this version. And it was either stay in real estate and work in commercial real estate development or become a writer and a yoga teacher. That was not healthy thinking. Right.
Yeah.
So that was really the choice. That was this
Yeah.
healing that actually led me to the point where I needed to get help to that point. But the reason I say this is because the yoga instructor writer felt so out of touch with reality.
Mm.
And I was not willing to, I was not only was I not willing, I wasn't ready to just
Yeah.
embrace that version of myself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
needed to like have the building blocks. I needed to build the foundation. I needed to like experience the things, build my confidence, make some money, put some money away, get like experiences where I embarrassed myself and then
Yeah.
came back from it. Like I
Yeah.
needed to build myself up in a way that like the foundation was strong. And I
Yeah.
think again, we talk about like that decluttering thing was like the energetic decluttering of like, okay, I am going to just low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this. So this leads me into like the tools. So number one, you do a lot of tapping on the body. We've
Yeah.
been doing the
Alternate temple tapping.
bilateral, right? Like sort of left
Yeah.
brain, right brain, which I love. Uh,
Yeah, that's a technique that I created, alternate temple tapping, which does integrate the left and right brain, the left and right hemisphere. But it's also the reason I created that was because tapping on your temples takes you out of fight, flight, or freeze. So it was my combination technique that really can get you out of that nervous system overdrive, and it's just so easy. It's
So
so
what is it?
easy.
Like you just sort of sit, like if you're like wherever you rest your arms and you just tap left, right,
Yeah, so you tap, you put
temples.
your left fingertips on your left temple and your right fingertips on your right temple. And there's a more this is I'm going to show you the truncated version, but essentially you just tap right, left, right, left, right, left while you talk about or think about whatever you're stressed. And it helps to calm your system down in relationship to that. It helps to take you out of fight, flight, or freeze. It helps left, right brain integration so that you can release the stress and come back into balance. So it's sort of a release and balancing. And I created it because I felt like I love EFT, emotional freedom technique, and other tapping, that I really wanted to do something to specifically target fight, flight, or freeze. And so those tapping points or those points on your face are really connected energetically to the pathway that governs fight, flight, or freeze in your
Right, because
body.
fight, flight, or freeze is so subconscious.
It's
It's
an
not, it's
automatic response in your
right.
body.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
So where EFT is a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to like
I
hands-on.
mean, yeah, EFT also affects the subconscious mind. However, EFT is a more involved process that's targeted in a specific way. This is like anybody can do it without thinking about it, without being overwhelmed. With emotional freedom technique, which I trained in many years ago, and I used it in my healing, and I use it in
Yeah.
my membership and all my classes. I love it, but it's definitely more involved. So this is
Yeah.
like a shortcut
I
that
always
you
get
could do.
overwhelmed with it.
Yeah,
Like
I do
I
it
would
the
use
easy.
it like I just
Yeah.
and then you've got like like you're initially supposed to rate the feeling from 1 to
Yeah, there's
10
a whole
and then
process.
rate
I
at the
sort of have an
end.
easy Amy version of it that I teach people, which is a simplified version. But it can be overwhelming, especially when you're new. And so alternate temple tapping
Yes.
is just tapping your temples alternately while you either think about or talk about whatever's stressing you out to help you release it. Or even if you're not thinking about it or talking about it, if you just tap your temples, it'll balance
Yeah,
your
even if you're
entire
just
nervous
having a weird
system.
feeling and can't identify it.
Exactly, exactly.
The I think one of the most powerful, the sweep was awesome. We'll cover that on the next episode. It's too
Yes, yes, yes.
thymus tapping, I love. I
Yeah,
love this. And I
yeah.
actually need to get your deck. Amy has a deck
Oh,
of
yeah.
like
I have it right here.
emotions. It's an oracle deck.
Yeah, it's
You
an oracle
shuffle
deck.
it and then you pick a card and like intuitively it'll give you an emotion to
Release.
release. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's so good. I use it. It's like literally right here on my desk. I use it all the time. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, I have to
So
get that.
easy because people honestly a lot of times are like, well, I don't even know what I'm feeling. What's making me anxious? What's making me depressed? And this card deck is is full of cards with all of the emotions that over the years I've identified are stuck in our bodies. And so when you pull a card, it teaches you how to tap on your thymus gland, which is in the middle of your chest, to
Yeah.
release it. And then there's cards with positive emotions to install those emotions into your system too.
So what I wanted to ask a very specific
Sure.
question about thymus tapping because the thymus gland is like the brain of the heart. Like how would you describe the thymus?
It's the master gland of the immune system, but it's also in the heart space, so it really regulates stress, emotions, how you're feeling. It's behind your breastbone, but it's about an inch below where a bow tie would be, so most
I
people
know,
can
but
feel
that's
there's a
exactly what I
raised
wanted to ask
area.
you because it feels like it's like a little lower. It's where the chest comes up a little bit, right?
Yes, there's a right like yeah, kind of a bump. A bump.
Yeah, like a bump in the middle of your chest. You
Yeah, so
feel it
it's
if
like
you
about, yeah, like maybe an inch, a little bit more below where the notch of your neck is.
yeah.
So, yeah, so that little area, if you tap with your fingertips, actually helps release stress, stuck emotions, and balances your immune system. It's actually a gland that is connected to your energy system, so it helps you release and balance energy. But it's a gland that's important. Tapping it is said to help increase your white blood cells, which fight infection. So it's just, and it's so easy. Anytime you're feeling stressed, anytime you're feeling stuck emotions, I just tap on it and I just tell my body, let go, let go,
Yes,
let
yes.
go, just to, and
Releasing,
it's amazing.
releasing, let go,
Releasing,
let
releasing. It's
go.
so easy. It's so
Like,
easy.
oh my God, I love it. I feel like that tool is just like, if
Yeah.
you guys are going to take one tool away, tap on your thymus glands.
Yeah. So
Yes, the
those
cards
emotions
are,
are on the cards.
yes. And all of a sudden, when you say the word in the group, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, you're like, I know
Like
what
there's like
that
a
is.
part,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
this
yeah.
part of inside, there's a part of me inside of it's like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. That's me. Yeah, I know.
And
I
then you
know.
have this tool to release it. The
Yeah.
thoughts happen.
Yeah.
Like so you
Yeah.
just keep the resentment in your mind and you're like
Yeah.
releasing
You hold the
resentment,
intention. Yeah.
right?
So
Release.
powerful.
Right. And then at the end, you install the positive emotion, which
Yeah.
is
To
not
rebalance your body.
necessarily even the opposite of resentment. It
Yeah.
could be like
Yeah,
great.
it could be joyful or yeah,
Right.
it could be anything. And that's why either intuitively choosing the emotions off the list in a way that I teach in my book or the card deck just makes it easy because you're pulling the cards. Sometimes we think we need to release or install a specific thing, but actually it's not what we would think of, which is why oftentimes we don't feel better is because when we're using logic, I always say emotions aren't logical as much as we want them to be. So using the tools that I teach in my books and membership and stuff help you to tune into what you really need to release, not what you think you need to release.
Right. 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 So, yeah, I think we could pretty much end here. There's so much value in just your presence. I
Thank you.
I really like would not be where I am if I hadn't found the work. Once I found your work, it was like, okay, this is how I take healing into my own hands.
Mm,
This is how I clean up my emotional mess. Because to this day, my pillar that needs the
yeah,
most work is not mental, it's emotional. And my
yeah,
argument for mental health is that it is emotional. It's
yeah,
not just mental. Mental is like mindset. Mental
yeah,
is like forcing determined, I'm going to do this mind over matter, right? Like
yeah,
you can override your body, you can override your emotions, and that's when you start getting sick. You can be mentally strong and determined and hardworking and resilient and all of these things. But if you're not addressing your physical or physical problems that, the doctors also help, but the
yeah,
emotional portion, because we can also harness like it almost goes so far as to say like we don't need spiritual healers. Like for me, spirituality is like really tapping into a an energy of that flow of like I'm connected to a higher space and it feels good to be in that higher space.
yeah,
That's what spiritual health means to me. I don't
yeah,
need to go to a shaman to have him work through past life stuff. I mean, not
yeah,
yet. I mean, I don't, maybe in the future I will. But like not right now. And like
yeah,
that whole modality of like going to see a shaman and so it just feels a little again, I've been talking about this like spiritual bypassy.
yeah,
We just need to get into the root of the of what makes us human.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You have to
It's
go to the
not
root. And
mysterious.
no, it's simple. We're always looking for the mysterious, complex thing, but it's healing is really simple. I don't say it's not easy because I went through it, but it's simple. And sometimes that's when people heal is when they've done all the things, all the treatments, all the modern edge, all the like all the like all the things, and then they come back to the root of who they are. And it's so simple, but that's where we need to end up. I'm writing about in my next book, my next nonfiction book, which is about healing, that the most power we have is in the now, not looking back in our past. Like not looking backwards, but like whatever happened in the past almost doesn't matter because the power to pivot is in the now, from right here, moving forward. And so looking forward always gives you more power than looking back because you can't change the past and it doesn't matter anyway. It's already gone.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
just to remember
It's like
from here,
you have the power to address the past in the present moment by feeling the emotion that needed to be tended to in the moment that the trauma happens.
yeah, and then moving in the right direction, moving in a new direction, moving
Yeah,
forward.
because
That's
that
what it's about.
exactly because
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're depressed and when you're being held back is the hardest part about that is feeling like you can't take care of yourself to move in the right direction forward. Like that's the
Yes.
thick of it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
knowing the direction or not having the physical ability. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop us.
Thank you for having
I,
me.
I,
This
I
was
want to be
so
respectful
fun.
of your schedule, but guys,
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna include a link below
Okay.
for the Fearless Living Collective. If you're interested in being exposed to Amy's work, Go, it's super affordable. It's literally a customized healing, emotional healing plan for you to address the things that honestly you probably won't get to on your own. You, or it'll just take you a while to find it. So I'll include the link below. It's called the Fearless Living Collective. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so fun, and I definitely want to come back again.
Sounds good.